I heard on the etiquette show on UPR this weekend. I'm not supposed to say Happy New Year to anyone this late in the year, but so I'll say welcome. The Senate Natural Resources Center 2017, and thank you for coming over. You caught the last part of our conversation with council, and I'm sure you're very tuned into the issues, but we're trying to assess where we are on this movement to having a complete rule. And so let's pause there and just check in. You can fill us in on not so much on how we got to where we are, but where we are and what's coming next.
Thank you, Senator Gray, and Happy New Year to the committee as well. My name is Jake Marin. I'm a staff attorney and hearing officer at the Vermont Public Service Board. The status of the net metering rule is the same as it was when we briefed the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules in December. That is, we intend on filing the final proposed net metering rule that includes the text of the rule, the legislative report that was contemplated by Act 99 that Aaron just referred to, along with all of the supporting documentation for the rule and summary of all the comments received, and an electronic record of actually all the comments that were received, as well as the records from the workshop process that the board conducted. So it's a considerable amount of information that we'll be providing at the end of the week. I don't believe that there's any additional information to provide at this time other than what Mr. Adler discussed with the board, with the committee.
So as far as the 20th, that's when it's coming in.
That's when we, if we get it finished earlier than then, we'll submit it earlier. However, as I indicated, it's just so many documents, compiling them and making sure that they're complete and ready for everyone is a significant undertaking.
Sure. And so that's a submission actually to LCAR, correct?
It will be to all of the committees of jurisdiction and to LCAR.
Great. Well, so I think some of the questions that, in a certain way, I don't want to try to ask too many questions about something that's still pending. But so let me check in part if what you're submitting includes provisions. So one of the questions people are asking is, how will we transition from an order to a rule? So does your submission address that proposal on how to make the transition from one to the other?
The board's order of August 30th, and I believe also the June order where they adopted an intern program, is all referred to it. The board contemplated that upon the adoption of a final rule, that final rule would supersede whatever interim program the board had adopted by order. The submission we're going to make at the end of the week is substantially similar to what is currently in effect by order, and so the board doesn't anticipate there being significant transitional issues. Customers who applied for a net metering system in 2017, we have received a significant number of applications under the new program. They're not going to see a big difference. The board is not proposing any changes to the rate structure or significant procedural changes to how we review applications for net metering CPGs. So just looking at the transition from the interim order that was adopted, interim program that was adopted by order, and any adopted rule that the board finally has, that we don't anticipate this time any big disruptions. If the legislature were to recommend changes to what the board has proposed, it may be something that should be considered at that time. But
okay, then not just thinking under it's controlled by the Administrative Procedures Act, but once that rule comes into place, is it 15 days later that it goes into effect, or do you remember the timing? What's submitted?
I'm going to give a brief overview of the steps we have left to do.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm going to be able to calculate an exact date because there are some variables, but once the board files a final proposed rule with the Secretary of State and LCAR and the committee's jurisdiction, there is an up to 45-day period of review for LCAR to look at that, and for these committees, such as yourself, to review the submission. Then, if there are any objections or issues that LCAR has, they would transmit them to the board. The board has 14 days to respond to those issues, and there may be some, this is maybe where it's a little fuzzy to me, but I think there's an opportunity for some back and forth between the board and the legislature about what goes into a final rule. And then if the board determines that it is appropriate to adopt a final rule, it would respond to all the issues that the legislature brought to its attention and file the final adopted rule with the Secretary of State, and then I believe there's a 15-day period before it takes effect. So it probably is a period of months between now and when an adopted rule could actually be effective.
And, sorry, I'm trying to remember, is LCAR allowed to extend that 45-day review period?
The agency is allowed to extend LCAR's 45-day review period. LCAR is allowed to extend the normal 8-month period by which an agency can adopt rules.
Okay.
And when agencies ask for extensions, they are routinely granted. I can't think of an exception to that. Aaron is our counsel. It's not unusual.
Can I add one more?
Yes, please.
So the 15 days refers to after the LCAR process is over and the agency decides to finally adopt a rule. That means it's finally adopted and it's filed. A copy of the finally adopted rule is filed with the Secretary of State and LCAR, and the effective date cannot be earlier than 15 days after the date that filed.
No.
It can be later.
Okay.
Within the agency's discretion.
Thank you for that clarification. All right. So I think, in part, what I'm just trying to have a sense of is the overall timeline, because I don't want us to be adjourning before things are settled. That's not what we would have settled it before we adjourn for this session. And it sounds like from what you're saying, there's not the likelihood that we will have it unsettled by the end of the session. Is that what would you agree? I mean, it's a guesstimate. It's depending on other people doing certain things, but.
I certainly think that it is quite possible that this could be settled before the end of the session, but it does depend, I guess, on how many issues the legislative review raises. If there are significant issues raised by the legislature, it may push out the time until a rule is finally adopted.
Just checking my own question list here. So, I guess rather than look at the final draft rule, we'd be better off waiting a week and we'll see what everything looks like. Are there any questions from the committee from Mr. Mayor? Senator Peterson.
Chris Pearson from Chittenden County. I have not, I've been in the House prior to becoming a senator, and I have not been on this committee or the sister committee over there, but I have been very interested in these issues. And last year in Act 174, I was able to get some language included that had to do with public ownership or community ownership of renewable projects, and we included it in the provision that would simplify the application process for systems that were at least 50% community owned. And to my knowledge, we'll see later this week, but in the early drafts, I have not been aware of any recognition of that direction in statute. So I was wondering if you could comment on why the board chose to ignore that.
Oh, well, the board has did consider simplifying the application review process for solar or for projects that are community owned, and we have provided a greatly simplified CPG review processes generally for all net metering systems. However, the Section 248 review is primarily an environmental statute. And the ownership structure of a system doesn't really change the potential environmental impacts that are associated with the system. And so the board determined it was not appropriate to simplify the procedures further than they already have been simplified, because they are, in the board's estimation, greatly simplified already, based on the ownership characteristics. We have created a very streamlined process for projects that are located on existing structures or on parking canopies and things of that nature. So there are incentives that encourage good siting, and where there's good siting, there is a simpler review because less information is required for the board to assess the environmental impacts. And also there's less need for an opportunity for the public or for municipalities to comment on those projects because there are limited impacts. But community solar arrays may be located in areas that do have environmental impacts, such as a green field or next to someone's home, or in a municipality that has concerns about the land use impacts of such development. And the board understands that in Act 2074 it was asked to consider this issue in the context of the siting controversies that the board has been undertaking. We've also been trying to make sure that our process is accessible to the public and to municipalities who have concerns about the siting of solar systems. And so we had to balance those two, and that's why the final proposed rule you'll see at the end of the week does have simplified application procedures, but the simplification hinges on the amount of environmental impact and not on the ownership structure of the system.
In your discussion around this idea, I'm very open to other strategies that would help facilitate different ownership structures. I think, I always think of it simply, but people complaining about that windmill or that solar farm as opposed to bragging about, check out my windmill or my solar farm. And I that is obviously simplified, but I do think that there is, and you've seen this the world over, that when we give better opportunity for communities to have ownership, we tend to ratchet down the controversy. So is the board open to other strategies? Have you discussed that? I know it's of interest to some members on the board who talked to me about it. So I'd be curious to work with you guys if there are strategies we could develop together.
I haven't spoken with the board on alternative strategies other than what I've just discussed with you, but I certainly believe that the board is open to hearing the legislature's view on this subject, and if there is more specific guidance that they want to provide, that they'd like to provide to the board on how to facilitate development that the legislature believes is beneficial, then by all means the board will be happy to hear that.
You have I think the German, whatever, energy program is like 60, in Germany, 60% of resources built are municipally owned. And do you have any, I don't have an answer to this, any sense of what percentage of the energy infrastructure built in Vermont has been municipally owned, or might be called community-based?
Well, to the extent, we have municipal utilities in Vermont. So one that comes to mind is Swanton, and they own significant generation resources. So if you're a Swanton customer, almost all of your generation, all the power you consume is owned by the municipal utility. And Burlington Electric Department would be another good example of that. I believe they own the McNeil generation station, so as well as Winooski 1, which is another large generator in there. So there are examples of it in our investor-owned utility, which is the bulk of the state. I don't think there is nearly as much. In the net metering program, to date, we've seen a significant number of net metering projects that have municipal off-takers, but I don't know about what the ownership structure of those net metering systems is, so I don't know the percentage.
But I share Senator Pearson's goal. It's my sense is that some of the opposition is because it's somebody else's project as opposed to our town's project. And I honestly hope that Act 174, 10 years out, when towns have done thorough energy plans, and that they're helping shape what happens in their town. That even if it's investor-owned, it will still feel like much more a part of their own community's desire to see renewable energy. All right, well, so we look forward to seeing the filing at the week, and it'll be very helpful to see what you come up with. Elcar will be driving the bus. We may well, as a committee, provide a written response to Elcar. We'll see where we go. Any further questions, Senator McDonald?
What's your role with the board now? Okay.
I am a hearing officer and staff attorney.
So, is this new for you or a new appointment? Or-
I've been with the board since 2011.
Okay, so it's so who was the attorney that made the decision on, for the board not to issue the order last year as called for?
The board made the decision to issue an order.
Pardon?
The board made the decision to issue an order.
And who was the legal, their attorney that, as the client, who was their attorney?
Myself and the general counsel,
Who was the general counsel?
June Tierney.
Pardon?
June Tierney?
Okay. Can you shed with us any light on why you recommended such an action?
I believe it would be more appropriate to have a board member come in and speak as to why they acted in the way they did. And I also don't believe I can discuss the advice I've given to the board without asking for them, for their permission. So,
Any other questions? Thank you very much for coming over.
thank you very much.
So we will take, we're a little ahead